What's up, game players? Happy pre-E3 week! God dog, we are almost on the cusp of the E3 show starting. I'm your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and let me tell you, to every last single listener that's listening to the show, that might have downloaded the show or streaming the show on SoundCloud or iTunes or Audio Mac or Google Play, wherever you are at, thank you for taking the time to listen to another episode of the Analog Circle podcast. This is episode number 62, and I'm so happy to be here. Man, this is gonna be an exciting week. Now, this is the thing. Every time E3 comes up, so many leaks come out, so many stories come out during this time of the week. Right before E3, I just go blackout mode. I don't go online too tough. I'm not going to any of the outlets because I don't want anything spoiled for me. That's the last thing that I want. And I don't cover anything that's gonna spoil the show before the show starts. So this week, I'm going in blackout mode. That's right. And on Saturday, when EA hits the stage, it's gonna begin. Whoa, it's gonna be a good show. I really believe it. This E3 Microsoft, they have so much to prove. Oh, their back is against the wall. What are they gonna do? And speaking of that, god dog, we gotta get into the feedback section because you guys know I love to start the show with the emails from you, the listener, that chime in at the questions that I ask you guys every week. I truly, truly thank you for that. And I have to say, let's get into it right now. So last week, my question to you guys was, what are your E3 predictions for Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo? Now, once again, a repeat emailer has sent an email, and again, I have to shout this person out. Shout out to Kelsey Stevenson for emailing the show. Now let me read off to you what their email says. Listen to this. Now the title of their email is E3 Hopes and Dreams. Here we go. They say, when it comes to predictions, I really can't say. Everything seems to be a bit sporadic these days. But what I'm hoping for is I want Microsoft to come big. I want a release date and a price reveal for the Scorpio. I want to be excited about Microsoft again. I've been loving Sony for a while. Everything with Microsoft has seemed stale to me. Something is going to show, let me repeat that. Something is telling me that Xbox has a really good game they are going to show off. As for what that is, I'm not so sure. PlayStation 4 will show more Destiny, more Call of Duty World War II, and I'm not sure what else. Maybe Crackdown. I know people would go crazy over that. LOL. But to end this email, I honestly just want this to be a year where all companies take a massive step forward. In my opinion, the gaming community needs that. This needs to be the year that the gaming community will talk about forever. Kelsey, let me tell you once again, if I haven't told you before, thank you for the email. I appreciate it. I'm with you, Kelsey. I have to say, Microsoft has not been on their square lately. I have to say, Microsoft, to me, in my humble opinion, I don't think they've taken a big step back. I just think this year has been a bit of a dry spell for them. They had Halo Wars 2 come out. I'm not into RTSs. That is not my bag. And they haven't had much else since then if you want to talk about exclusives. But when you look over at Sony and you see what Sony has done, Sony has had Yakuza 0 come out. Sony has had Nier Automata. Sony has had, what's the other game that everybody loves, including myself? Horizon Zero Dawn. They have come out with some stellar games on top of, what's the other game people are going crazy over? Neo. They've had Neo. They've had one heck of a year so far. And when you compare Microsoft to Sony just this year, just right now, they don't seem to have that steam that they need right now. So I think that Microsoft is definitely under the microscope this year, and they need to show something huge. They have to have a game in their back pocket that people are going to go crazy over. Even more important, now I'm not going to say even more important than a game, but just as important as having a great game, I think that Microsoft needs, they need to have the Scorpio at a very, very, very good price point where the consumer, $399 preferably. I don't know if they're going to hit that mark, but I think that's what they need to get the crowd to go bananas. If they do that, I think they'll be just fine, but we'll have to wait and see next Sunday. It's gonna happen. It's gonna go down, and I'm gonna be front and center. But as always, once again, Kelsey, thank you for the email. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Now we're gonna move on to the guy who, as always, as I tell you guys, and I say it only because it's true. I say it only because it was times when no emails would come in. And this gentleman, he kept the pulse going. I have to shout him out every week because he continues to write in, and every time it is so appreciated. We're gonna move into Mr. Cody Clark. His email for the week. Now, actually, he sent me two, so I have to read both of them. But the first one is entitled Pre-Derp. Wait a minute, I messed that up. Pre-derptions. Oh, buddy, I can't wait to get into this one. Okay, now this is what Cody says. E3 has become more and more safe and standardized. I feel like Gamescom is more of the, oh, you guys check this out. I was hoping Starbreeze would be at E3, but they had their own convention in Vegas a few weeks ago and will be a no-show. I'd rather go with things more outlandish. Nintendo will say they need more time to hone in and focus their online features and will delay that going live till after Gamescom. Hey, I must say, Cody, we gonna talk about that, brother. He continues to say, seeing the line in the sand that Activision crossed with Call of Duty, Nintendo will start to release older games that they have released on the Cube, the Wii, and Wii U without any of their extra content. Now that they will be able to add it as $9.99 DLC. He says, I expect them to be like, let's make a game that costs $9.99 that gives you 5 lives and uninstalls and deletes itself once you run out of the lives and makes you buy it again. I will refer to it as Dark Souls Mushroom Kingdom. Oh yeah, buddy. Now he continues to say, I still think the Switch makes a better waffle iron than a game console. That being said, Nintendo will likely hint at VR and a sandwich making game. Let's be real for a moment, Cooking Mama made a lot more money than people expected. I agree. Hey man, they was cooking in the kitchen, brother. They was doing it. They was doing it with no apron. But continuing on to pull from Goose, I think I'll expect to see Shenmue 3, old buddy, make another appearance asking for more cash and saying that a measly $12 million is not enough to make their game. Sony will then put him in a creepy Iron Maiden and cart the entire team off stage and throw them in a dumpster. Truthfully, I have no idea. I actually like the 2 or 3 days leading up to E3 where all of the outfits scramble for the best leaked news compiled by Reddit users. Cody, god dog it, man. As always, it's appreciated, brother. Hey, listen, man, waffle makers, you remember the PS3, they made it out to be a George Foreman grill. Well, guess what? I guess the Switch can do the same thing. I don't know, brother, but I appreciate this email, and I want to hurry up and jump into your other one, Cody, because this one as well, this was interesting, because I got some words to say about this one. Now, listen to this email Cody also wrote in. He said, this is the name of it, Reviewing the Reviews Review-ish. He says, Kotaku is doing their Did X Deliver for E3 last year. It's interesting to see how much Xbox brought to the table and how few things didn't get cut/killed. I agree with that. Now I'm going to keep on moving on. He says, but I also see a sort of meh narrative on the positive spin. Sony's had a lot more, but but replies, and there didn't seem to be any holding their feet to the fire the same way they did for Xbox. Also, a lot of the announcements Sony had came out the same time on Wii U and or Xbox or PC, and I feel like they still gave Sony credit. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. I get it. E3 is all building hype to their investors, happy, and churn some fans into a frenzy. Cody, thank you for this email. I must say this very, very quickly. It was an article, god dog it, I can't remember who it was. I wish I could call them out, but I cannot remember the article. It might have been The Verge. It might have been on The Verge. That's the name of the website. But they were comparing Xbox Game Pass, okay, the Game Pass, to PlayStation Now. Are you freaking kidding me? And they even had the audacity to say that PlayStation Now is far better. It exceeds the Game Pass. It is the best service. Are you freaking kidding me? This guy, he said that he thought that the PSN, that service was better because you didn't have to download the games. You could stream them, which made it not like Netflix. Now, excuse me, sir, but can I tell you something? Not everybody has the same bit rate or download speed to have a very, very good gaming experience when it comes to streaming a game. I think that any game player out there would rather download the game. But this is to your point, Cody. This is exactly the point. They are just in Sony's corner, left and right. Sony can do no wrong. They are incredible. They can't be beat. They are for the gamer. They are just in the gamer's corner all the way. And the whole time, Microsoft doesn't even get a bone. They don't get a hey, that wasn't bad. They don't get a nod. They get no credit. The credit is so minuscule that Microsoft gets. If this was on Sony's platform, this Game Pass, I'm telling you right now, Sony people would be going bonkers right now. They wouldn't be able to be told that it is not the greatest thing since sliced bread. people would say, oh, this is amazing. Oh, Sony loves the gamer. Sony is in our corner. They are doing what we want them to do. But Microsoft does it, and it's it could have been better. Get the heck out of here. Cody, we're gonna see what happens at E3, brother. I have rambled on way too long, god darn it. But I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up. But as always, Cody, brother, you are so appreciated. Thank you so much. And once again, Kelsey, thank you very much again for writing another email. Now, guys, you know I try to keep the show at an hour. Matter of fact, I gotta go to Connecticut tonight. So I'm gonna try to wrap the show up as fast as I can, but I'm gonna tell you this one might go a little over an hour, but we're gonna go ahead because of that reason and get into what we always come here for, god dog it, on this eve of E3, and that is the gaming news, yes, that went down, starting off with Nintendo. Now, Nintendo has filed for a new trademark called Super Nintendo World, which sounds like it could be the name for their upcoming Universal theme park. Now, this patent was filed on May 24th, so it was very, very recent. Now, this application covers not only goods, but also services, many of which pertain to amusement park and amusement park events, special events, amusement park shows, as well as an organization, management, or arrangement of, get this, kart racing. Now, could this mean real life Mario Kart racing for you and me? I don't know. But the trademark will also cover video game apparatus, such as machines, parts, and accessories for them. Now, you guys might remember last year, there was some talk about Nintendo and Universal actually making this theme park. Could you imagine, though? Mario Kart. I don't know if they're gonna do it in VR. I don't know if it's gonna be a ride. I don't know if you're gonna be in like bumper car type cars. I don't know what it's gonna be. But I'm thinking, man, what if they put some VR onto this thing? Now, of course, if you're in VR, you gotta be in a controlled environment. But even if it's not VR, if they just make a track where you can actually ride around on the cart, do some Mario stuff, put a banana on the daggone track. I don't know how they're going to do it. Make a mushroom for a power-up. I mean, that's why I'm saying VR might be good for this. Or even augmented reality, maybe. But who knows? But either way, it looks like this could be a reality. We will have to stay tuned. Moving on into some Bayonetta news. Platinum Games is in active discussion on where the franchise will go next. Now, talking a little deeper into this subject was Platinum producer, I'm gonna butcher his name, but I'm gonna try, Atsushi Inaba. Now, this is a quote. He said, I would like to make Bayonetta 3. We're talking within the company, even now, about what to do. But we're constantly talking about it. That actually makes it really hard to say, of course. That's just something that you talk about when you're making a series. Do you want to keep the same protagonist? Now, there's plenty of precedent for changing. And so that is something we discuss. Do we want to keep the same one? Have a different one? Add new ones? End of quote. Now, Annabelle also said that he can't say anything is for certain. So basically they were asking him, is Bayonetta still going to be the same character? Are you going to stay with her? Are you going to leave her out? And he's saying that, hey, it's a possibility. Anything can happen. So who knows, the next Bayonetta, maybe it won't be Bayonetta. But either way, for anybody who's a fan of the series, they are in talks of making a sequel. Well, not a sequel, but a third one. And we'll have to see if this comes to fruition. At least the good thing is they are in the talks about it. Moving on now, this Cody, oh buddy, this is why I said, in your email. Now, what happened? I want to ask you guys, what happened to Shenmue? Will it be at E3? It has to be, right? It has to be there. Yu Suzuki got on the stage. People were amazed. They were crying. They were clapping. They were fainting. They were doing cartwheels up the aisle when they saw this game was gonna be making a release. Sony was amazing. They were great for this pickup. Well, listen to this. If you think Shenmue 3 is gonna be in the building, then you are sadly wrong. Yu Suzuki said the month of June will be spent on focusing on development, which basically means the game isn't showing up to the E3 stage. End of quote. Now, we have also been receiving questions. Now, hold on. No, this is the quote right here. God dog, and I'm messing up. Now, he says, we have also been receiving questions from our backers regarding our plans to participate in upcoming game shows. While our schedule has yet to be finalized, we will be devoting June to game development, and as a result, will unfortunately not be participating in any game shows. The only possible saving grace, now this is me talking, I should have said end of quote. But the only possible saving grace is it might be a remaster on the way, looking as though Sega registered the domain name again. So for anybody that thought Shenmue was gonna get a release date, I thought it was gonna be this year. I was looking forward to being on the daggone, what is it called, forklift, and getting it in. I thought it was definitely coming this year. I guess the date that it has up there is a placeholder date because it still says December of 2017. But I guess that is just not gonna happen. Sad, sad, sad. This is the thing. I love Sony. I have the PlayStation 4. I've spent more time on the PlayStation 4 than the Xbox. I have been loving it. It's been a great purchase for me. But my beef with Sony is they do show these games way out in advance. And Shenmue is gonna be another, not necessarily a casualty because they are still working on it. But when is this game coming? Is it gonna be 2018 or 2028? Nobody knows. But anyway, moving on. This is just so sad. I really wanted to see something. All of this time, Yu Suzuki, you can't show another picture. You can't show a video. Come on, man. You gotta get with it, brother. Moving on. Oh, man. For Injustice 2 fans, be on the lookout for a multiverse event entitled To End All Wars, which is going to be a Wonder Woman film tie-in DLC. Now, by completing, I should say, this challenge, you will unlock the costume worn by Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman in the cinematic adaptation. This will be a limited edition outfit, and this is available right now in case you didn't know. Jump on it. Moving on. Oh, goodness, listen to this. This has got me a little worried, but I'm gonna go ahead and read this. Now, this is in more E3 news. Tell me how you feel about this, listeners. The floor plans are live for the LA E3 convention, which tell a very interesting tale. Now, it's being reported that Nintendo's E3 floor space will be 32,400 square feet. Microsoft's booth, is gonna be 17,412 feet. That is a lot smaller than Nintendo. But listen to Sony. Now, Sony's coming in at a whopping 43,500 square feet. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because judging by the space, man, could this mean Sony is going to have another gaming blowout? And Microsoft may not have as much to show. Now, of course, Nintendo will probably only concentrate on Mario Odyssey, similar to what they did to Zelda last year. Now, I understand that just because you have a huge E3 space doesn't necessarily mean you have a ton. You don't have a ton. You have a ton to show. You can have a huge E3 stage, but you might just be showing the same game like Zelda was off of Nintendo last year. But I can't help but to think, will Microsoft have a huge presence when compared to Sony outside of Project Scorpio? And also, let's take into account that this is the first E3 open to the public, and Microsoft gets the least amount of space out of the three, knowing that this is a make or break year for them. They know that this year is crucial. This is going to be, like I said once again, and I have to staple this. This is the first E3 open to the public. Sony has a huge amount of space, 43,500 square feet. Compared to Microsoft's 17,412. Even Nintendo came in bigger. Could this be a problem for Microsoft? Now, I also understand that Sony, they're going to be doing coverage every day during E3, which I think is wonderful. And I love it. I think that's great. I would wish that Microsoft would do the same. But you can't help but to wonder, is Sony going to have more games? I don't think so. I think Sony has tapped their well. They'll have a few here and there, but their presence is going to be undoubtable. When people come in and they see that big of a space, they see that many stations that you can play games on, they're gonna make a huge impression at E3. Microsoft, they have the Scorpio, the most powerful console right now to date. And you come in with this sort of space, I am slightly concerned, and I'm pulling for Microsoft. I want them to knock this thing so far out of the park. I want it to be in the parking lot. I want them to just show up and show the heck out. So hopefully, the space is not going to be any indication of what Microsoft will be showing. Goodness, I hope so. I just gotta say, I gotta give credit where it's due, though. Sony, they said, look, everybody's looking for the Scorpio. Everybody is waiting to see what happens with the Scorpio. We have to show up. How do we do that? We might not have the games. I don't know what Sony's gonna have. I'm thinking they're gonna have Spider-Man again. They're gonna have the same stuff they had last year. They're just gonna have it with release dates, and they may give you one or two new games that they haven't shown already. But the way that Sony is doing it, it is a nice strategic strategy, because they're making it so their presence looks bigger than Microsoft's, which is going to make people think that they have more to show, dwarfing Microsoft's E3 booth. We'll see what happens, because content is king. And if you have the games, if you have the software, then that's all you need. So we'll have to see. Moving on to the next story. Now, I'm sure you guys remember the remastered version of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, where in order to buy it, you had to spend at least $80 on it, because you couldn't buy it separately from Infinite Warfare. Well, that could be changing. This is according to Amazon Japan. It has an alleged release date of June 20th for the PlayStation 4 and a late July release for the Xbox One. And to add just a little more credence to this, Germany Amazon also has a release date of June 23rd. So anyone similar to myself that held off on getting this, packed in with Infinite Warfare, you might have wanted Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, but said, I'm not paying that much. Your patience just may pay off, and you can probably pick it up for $20 or $24.99. I don't know how much it's gonna be, but at least the possibility is there, and we will see later on during the month if this does come to pass. Moving on into some more news. Now, I thought Crytek was down for the count. I thought they were out. Down goes Crytek. Down goes Crytek. They are on the canvas and they can't move. But it looks like they will be showing up at E3. And not only are they showing up at E3, they're going to be showing up with a new multiplayer horror-themed game called Hunt Showdown. Down. That's right. So we'll have to see what happens with this. Could this mean that Crytek is on the upswing? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm thinking that this is probably going to be a smaller title, maybe like a double A tier title. But we'll see what happens. It's multiplayer, which means it's probably going to be some microtransactions involved, I'm sure. But hey, it's okay. You know, they're trying to make their way back, but just be on the lookout for this game at E3. Once again, it's called Hunt Showdown. Moving on just into some quick news. Now, this is pretty amazing. I'm stuttering and everything else. Excuse me, listeners. But just like I said in some quick news, as of March 31st, Heavy Rain has sold, I couldn't believe this, it has sold over 4.5 million copies between the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. Now, hopefully, Detroit Become Human will have the same success. And I'm hoping that is a game I am anticipating. I'm really hoping that Sony will show that game off again and give it a release date of this year. That would be amazing if they could do that. But something tells me that it might not make it out. But Quantic Dreams is amazing. And I'm so glad that Heavy Rain sold 4.5 million copies, which says it is definitely a need for this kind of game on the market. And like I said, Detroit Become Human. Just look up some videos of this game if you haven't. Very, very interesting game, and I cannot wait to get my grubby paws on it. Moving on into some more Sony news. Now, it looks like, according to two different Reddit threads, a picture of the box being taken at Target and Walmart is a picture of a gold-colored PlayStation 4, which could be releasing on June 9th and will feature a 1 terabyte hard drive and will release for an alleged retail price of $249.99. Oh my gosh. But the price has yet to have officially been announced. Also, I did go, now this is just to show a little bit of possibility of this happening. I did go to Best Buy's website, and the same colored gold controller was available to buy for $64.99. Also, the gold PlayStation 4 shown on the box did look like it was going to be a slim model. Now, we know that Sony had put, a 1 terabyte in the slim model already? I mean, good grief. If they're gonna release a gold PlayStation 4 Slim with a 1 terabyte hard drive in it for $249.99. Oh my gosh. This could be big for Sony. This is so interesting because that's gonna force Microsoft's hand. It's gonna make them have to show up. God dog, y'all hear that helicopter? Listen. God dog, man, my bad, y'all. So unprofessional. Excuse me. But getting back to Sony. If they release this at $249.99 or 1 terabyte hard drive, good grief, this could be a problem. This could definitely keep the momentum going on Sony's part. This is gonna make Microsoft have to compete and drop theirs down to $249.99, which is great. It's great because we, the consumer, we win at the end of the day. So with Sony doing this, I applaud them. I do. I think it's great. I think it's great for the culture. I think it's great for the competitiveness of it. They have not gotten very comfortable. I will say this about Sony. I have gripes about Sony, mainly that they show their games way in advance. And Microsoft, they show you what they got coming up between a year and a year and a half. Now, people keep going back to this scale-bound thing. Oh, it got canceled. Oh, it's the worst. I can't believe it. What's happening with Microsoft? Let me tell you something. I never thought scale-bound even looked that good to begin with. And I was not alone. Many other game players said the same thing. It looks slow. The frame rate looks bad. I don't like the character. The character seems like he's just a butt. He's a butt, and we don't like him. And now all of a sudden they cancel the game and everybody's all up in arms saying, what the world happened? Microsoft, I wanted this. This was a game that I needed. This was on my radar. I wanted to have the dragon. I wanted to have control of him and all of this, that, and the third. But when they released it, more people were not looking forward to it than people that were. Now I understand people were looking forward to it. There were some game players that were genuinely pumped up, genuinely excited about it. And it didn't show up. It's not coming out. It got doggone, it got the axe. And now they're all up in arms. Everybody keeps going back to that, where you go to The Last Guardian. Yeah, people were mad about it. They were like, oh man, when is it coming? When is it coming? And it was always, it started to be like a mystical being, that it was there and it just disappeared. It wasn't really hate. People were just wondering, are they gonna bring it back? Is it ever gonna resurface? It was never looked at as a super negative thing. People just were like, can we just have it, Sony? When is it gonna happen? Nobody ever held it against Sony like they're doing Microsoft with this scale-bound thing. And I disagree. They both have shown games that have not come to fruition. Shenmue 3 is not done yet. The Last of Us 2 is not done yet. Now I know you can say, Kiaun, you're reaching with The Last of Us 2. Yes, I am. I know I am. But the point is, they showed it. And who knows if it's coming out for sure. Okay, I might have reached on that. I know I did. But the point is, everybody shows things. Some things make it through. Some things don't. And that's just the way it is. Anyway, god darn it, I lost what the frick I was even talking about. We gonna get off of this, daggone it. Moving on into some more news, god dog it. But if Sony does bring this out, it's gonna be good for them. But god dag, pipe down, people, pipe down. Sony is not perfect. Moving on. Now, more information has come out. God dag, I really just don't know what happened there. But anyway, more information has come out about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Now, there is a list for the character roster. Now, I want to let you guys know this. This is the rumored list, okay? So don't jump down my throat if this is not correct. Now, for the Capcom side, it will be Arthur, Chris, Chun-Li, Dante, Firebrand, Jetta, Monster Hunter, Morgan, Nemesis, Ryu, Spencer, Strider, X, And it's been a rumored character that could be possibly Frank West. Now for the Marvel side, you're going to have Captain Marvel, Gamora, Ant-Man. Ant-Man could be kind of dope. Doctor Strange, Captain America. You got Hulk, Hawkeye, God dang it. Iron Man, Rocket, which is the doggone, the animal, the whatever he is. Y'all know what he is, squirrel or something? Yeah, him. He there. The raccoon dude. Yeah. You got Nova, Thor, Ultron, Thanos, and Spider-Man. Now, once again, I want to preference this list by saying Capcom has not confirmed this list. This was actually a list put up by a NeoGAF user named Royce. Now, this is also the same person who leaked the game. Now, of course, Mega Man is missing, but this is his list of the strongest characters in his opinion. So we'll see what happens. We know that this game is coming out later on this year. Marvel vs. Capcom. What's the pre-name of this? God dang it. Once again, it is Infinite. That's right. So you guys be on the lookout for that, but I'm moving on. Now into some very interesting Nintendo news. Now, the pricing for Nintendo's upcoming online service has been announced. The service won't be launched officially, until 2018. I don't think that is really a shocker to anybody, but you can get a 1-month subscription for $4. You can get a 3-month for $8, or you can get a year for $20. I must say, the pricing on this is excellent. I have to give kudos to Nintendo. A whole year subscription for $20? That is really darn good value. Now, also, with the subscription, you will get free versions of classic games with added online features. Now, some of the games said to be available are Super Mario. Now, I want you to listen to this list very carefully, listeners. You have Super Mario 3, Balloon Fight, and also Dr. Mario. And I'm going to get back to that in just a second. Also, Nintendo has come out to say that as long as you are a subscriber, you will have ongoing access to a library of classic games. For now, the only classics to be confirmed are from, listen to this, the original Nintendo Entertainment System. The Super Nintendo games are under consideration, but Nintendo has nothing to announce right now. Now listen to this. I just figured it out, and I know you guys have figured it out as well. Those few games that I read, Super Mario 3, Dr. Mario, and Balloon Fight, what were they on? That's right. They were on the Nintendo Mini Classic. Which means that just like I suspected, oh, you Nintendo guys, they saw that the Nintendo Mini could have been a problem. These games, like they just said, the first set is going to be off of the Nintendo Entertainment System. That's what the Nintendo Mini was. That was going to possibly take away some of the Switch's sales. Now, what Nintendo says is, hey, guess what? We got to get rid of that problem. Now, this is all just my theory. I could be wrong as 2 left feet. And if I am, then so be it. It doesn't bother me to be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But my thing is this. Nintendo saw that, god dang, this thing is really selling like hotcakes. People are buying it. They're loving it. How about we do this? Now, we're coming up with this subscription. How about we just tell people, guess what? You'll still be able to get those games. We're going to charge you $20 on top of $300 to get the Switch, and you will have access to all of these Nintendo games that you so love. As opposed to paying $60 and getting the daggone games. Now you're locked in at $20 a year. And you're paying $300. Nintendo has duped us again. They have. But guess what? That's business. And I am mad. Yes, I am going to be mad for quite some time. But I understand that it's only business. And at the end of the day, these companies only care about their bottom line. So if they got to get rid of the Nintendo Mini in order to push more of their new product, their more expensive, more quote-unquote premium product versus the $60 one, guess what? They're going to go where it makes sense. And they're going to lock that content out, make sure you can't get it, and the only way you can get it is by getting the newer console. So Nintendo, you got me, brother. You got me, and you got a whole lot more of us gamers. So if we want to get in with these Nintendo games that we love so much from our childhood, which I gotta say, they were broke as heck. If you ever go back, they were glitched. Some games you just couldn't beat, but if you want to relive it like I do and breathe it and love it for what it is, then guess what, brother? The only way you're going to be able to do it is by getting a Nintendo Switch. And daggone it, I hate to be an advocate, but shoot, man, it's got me tempted, and I'm so mad that I'm tempted to want to get this daggone thing because I would have just been happy with the Mini. But we'll see what happens. I think it's great Nintendo is at least making an online service. They're going to give you online features, which is something that you wouldn't have gotten with the Mini. So who knows? Maybe, just maybe, this thing could be awesome. We'll have to wait and see. And I think it could be. It has potential. But we'll see what happens. Moving on. Now, very interesting. This is so cool, man. This is actually the last story for this week. Now, a very interesting game called Blind Samurai that's actually being developed by a person that goes by the name of, well, his name is Chad Elliott Thalman, was inspired by the series Daredevil to make this game. Now, what makes this game so interesting is it's the first action game for blind gamers. Now, what players will need to play the game is a pair of headphones, and you will need to listen for your enemies approaching. You will have to swipe left or right in the direction of the oncoming enemy to attack. But if you miss a swipe, it will lead to the enemy coming closer. Now, the game features multiple environment types with sound effects that will enhance the experience or add new challenges to gameplay. Now, every 5 waves, there will be a boss round. Now, the game is available on Google Play for just 99 cents. And it'll be an iOS version a little later. It's coming soon. It'll be available soon. And this is the even more amazing part about this. 50% of all profits from the game will be donated to the Able Gamers charity. So, game players, why not pick it up? I think this is so amazing, man. It's really touched me. It did. Because I remember years ago, some of you guys may remember this or not. And I'm going to try to be very brief about this. But Stevie Wonder, he was on the stage of one of the VGAs, and they were talking about Rock Band. And he said, man, how cool would it be to make games, for people who are impaired? Their vision is impaired. How fun would it be for us to be able to experience the same things that you guys experience? And I said, man, I sat back and I said, wow, that is a very, very good point. I think that everyone should have the opportunity to enjoy this culture that we're so passionate about and that we love so much, and we spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on this thing. And to see that this person, Chad, actually had a vision, was inspired by Daredevil, who of course is blind, he can't see, to have that kind of motivation to make a game, the first action game for someone who's impaired, their vision is impaired. This was amazing. I really hope that this continues to be a trend so that more and more developers can get on board and make these kinds of experiences so that everyone that's interested in gaming can get in and have a great time and escape reality just for a little bit of time. Well, game players, that was the end of the gaming news this week. God dang, that really touched me, man. You don't know. But Anyway, let's get back upbeat, god dog it. Alright, so we're gonna be back, cause this is a heck of a week. I'm very excited, very pumped up, cause this is the pre-E3 week, god dog. But hold on, because we will be back though. You stay tuned. Right after this week's video game theater. Stay tuned, guys.
Looks like you have. You know, you're real good with them tools.
Thank you, Paul.
You'll make this land real nice one day. Me and your mother will do our part. By the time your turn comes, hell, this could be the nicest farm in the county.
Maybe, Paul.
Just gotta learn to shoot straight or you'll get yourself eaten by some animal.
Very funny, Paul.
Thank you, son. Soon it'll be quail season. We should have some fun then.
Is there anything you don't like shooting, Paul?
Well, I ain't met the thing yet, but as soon as I do, I'll let you know. You can even put it in one of them books you read.
Maybe I'll do that. The day John Marston stopped shooting.
Now, I ain't no literary man, but I don't think that'll sell. People like shooting in them things.
I think you may be right there, Paul.
So, you ever hear talk about them machines that can make a man fly?
Well, sure, Paul. Everybody knows about that. You know they're going to be bringing one of those machines around the country next year for a demonstration? One of them machines can turn men into angels.
One of them machines can turn men into angels.
John, come here. John, come here, quick. Take a look at that.
Jack, go into the house, lock all the doors. Whatever happens, don't come outside. You hear me? Whatever happens.
Okay.
Come here, son. Whatever happens, keep the doors locked and your mother inside. Promise me, son. Promise me.
Who is it, Paul?
It's just some old friends. Me and Uncle take care of it. And you go inside and you keep the doors and the windows locked.
I hear you.
Then run!
Yeah, run, boy.
Well, old man, looks like things is about to get settled once and for all.
So it seems.
And welcome back, game players. Welcome back. We are in the final section of the podcast, and just like every other podcast that I do, I have to ask you, the listener, your opinion on how you feel about this matter. Now, we know that E3 is coming. Oh, this time next week, it's gonna be a lot to unpack and talk about. So I have to ask you, the listener, this question. Is this Microsoft's make or break E3? Do you think that Microsoft has to show up at this one, and if they don't show up, they are going to be written off as the losers? years of E3 and have no possible way of getting back into this console fight. It has been all year long that people, even last year, when Project Scorpio was talked about, people have been saying, Microsoft, they just don't have the games. Microsoft needs to do better. They need to give us RPGs. They need to give us these other kinds of games, these games. But Sony has all of the games I love. And I have to give Sony props. I have to give them credit because they have done excellent this year. They've brought out Nier Automata. They've brought out Neo. They've brought out, what's the other big game that they had this year that is losing and missing my mind? I'll think of it later, goddaggit, with the girl with the bow and arrow, Horizon Zero Dawn. I had to think about it. But they've been showing up. They've been doing excellent. Microsoft, what have they had this year? They have had Halo Wars 2. Oh, that hurts. Oh, it hurts so bad. Because if you're a Microsoft guy and you only have an Xbox, you're looking over on the Sony side and you're saying, God dog, man, they got a lot of darn games. I want to get my hands on those. Then for Microsoft guys, it's like Halo Wars 2. This is all I have. Now keep in mind, granted, I'm not talking about third parties. I'm talking about games you can only get on one of these consoles. So I don't want people saying, well, wait a minute, Kiaun, you're being one-sided. No, I'm talking about exclusives. So this year, in my opinion, I really believe more than ever, Microsoft has to show up to the E3 stage and they have to bring the games. And if you want to drop the microphone at E3, Phil Spencer, you end the conference. You end it off by saying that Project Scorpio is available at blah, blah, blah time, and it will be available for $3.99. That's how you drop the microphone, Phil. That will give you some momentum. The building will go frickin' bananas, nuts, and bolts out this mother lover. They will go just crazy. And that's what you need. You need to ride that wave. Because you think about what Sony did back at E3 2013 that made them get that wave. They announced that the PlayStation 4 was $3.99. People could not believe it. People were just putting up championship belts and doing all kinds of antics in the crowd. They were floored. They were daggone floored. And that's what Microsoft needs to do. Microsoft needs to floor the crowd, but they have to do more than just floor the crowd with the system, with the console. They have to do it with the games. So once again, listeners, I want to hear from you, God dog, and I'm all tongue-tied out here. Is this Microsoft's make or break E3? As always, you can tune in and leave your comments at the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com, or if you want to call in and you don't feel like typing those messages, you are not up to it, you can just call in at 443-261-4607. Guys, I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and as I say every week, and God knows I mean this, thank you guys for tuning in and spending this hour with me. And I want to say this once again. E3 is going to be big. I'm going to be recording as soon as it's over. I am going to be hitting the microphone. So I have to hear from you. I want it. I need it. But guys, God dog it, I'm going off and I'm about at the end of my rope. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off and tell you this as I do every week, because I mean it. It is not about the consoles, guys. It is about the games. Play the daggone games. And with that being said, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.